Welcome to Sunny's Mindset Lab podcast. Today we're exploring unlimited power with its author, Tony Robbins. This conversation is about understanding the principles that shape personal power, influence, and lasting change.
Thank you, Sunny. Unlimited Power was written to show people how their beliefs, focus, and actions shape the results they get and how to consciously change those patterns.
Tony, you start the book with this powerful quote from Thomas Henry Huxley: "The great end of life is not knowledge, but action." Why was that the perfect entry point for this whole philosophy?
Because that's the whole point. So many people get caught up in gathering information, reading book after book, but their lives don't change. Knowledge is important, but it's only potential power. The real power, the ability to shape your life, comes from applying what you know. It's about taking massive, determined action. This whole book is a manual for action, not just theory.
That brings up the word power itself, which can be a loaded term for a lot of people. They might associate it with control or manipulation. How do you define ultimate power in a way that's empowering, not intimidating?
That's a great question, because we need to redefine it. The power I'm talking about has nothing to do with controlling other people. It's about personal power. It's the ability to take control of your own life, to produce the results you want most. And it's not just about getting things for yourself, it's also about creating value for others in the process. At its core, it's simply the ability to act, to turn what was once a dream or a desire into a reality.
Okay, so it's a very practical framework. It sounds like you've laid out a clear roadmap in the book. I'd love to walk through that with you today, starting with what you call the ultimate success formula, then getting into our emotional state, our beliefs, how to literally run our own brains, the fuel for our bodies, and finally, how to put it all together to design our destiny.
That's the path. Each piece builds on the last. It's a complete system for producing results.
Perfect. Let's dive into that first part then, the foundation of it all, the ultimate success formula. You say this is a process that underlies any major achievement. What is it?
It's a simple four-step loop. First, you have to know your outcome, and I mean know it with precision, not "I want to be happy" or "I want to make more money." You need a crystal clear, specific target. Second, you have to take action. You can't just think your way to success, you have to do something. Third, you need to develop what I call sensory acuity. You have to pay close attention to the results you're getting. Are your actions moving you closer to your goal or further away? You have to be honest with yourself.
And that fourth step, flexibility, seems crucial. It's not about just hammering away with the same action if it's not working, right?
Exactly. That's where most people fail. They try something, it doesn't work, and they either give up or they just try the same thing again, harder. Flexibility is the key. If what you're doing isn't working, you have to be willing to change your approach. Change it again and again and again until you get the outcome you're after. It's not failure, it's feedback.
So you have this four-step formula, but the quality of the action you take in step 2 seems to depend heavily on how you're feeling. If you're feeling scared or unmotivated, your actions are going to be weak. This brings us to the idea of state. Can you explain what that is and why it's so important? You've hit on the core of it. Your state, the emotional and mental condition you're in at any given moment, determines your behavior. Everything you do is a result of the state you're in. If you're in a confident, creative, resourceful state, you'll take powerful actions. If you're in a fearful, overwhelmed state, you'll take hesitant actions or no action at all. The secret to success is learning to manage your state.
So how do you do that? How do you consciously manage your state, especially when you're feeling down? There are two master controls, two levers you can pull at any moment. The first is your internal representations. That means, what are you focusing on? What pictures are you making in your mind? What are you saying to yourself? If you're focusing on everything that could go wrong, you'll create a state of fear. The second lever is your physiology. How are you using your body? Your posture, your breathing, your facial expressions, your muscle tension, all of it immediately changes your biochemistry, and thus your emotional state. So you're saying I can literally change how I feel just by, say, standing up straight and breathing differently? Instantly. Try feeling depressed while standing tall, shoulders back, a big smile on your face, breathing deeply. It's impossible. Your body leads your emotions. Change your physiology, change your focus, and you change your state. It's that direct.
Okay, so our state drives our actions, and we can control our state with our focus and our physiology. What's driving our focus in the first place? What makes us consistently focus on certain things?
Now you're getting to the foundation. Underneath it all are your beliefs. A belief is nothing more than a feeling of absolute certainty about what something means. And your beliefs act like a command to your nervous system. If you believe something is possible, your brain will look for ways to make it happen. If you believe it's impossible, your brain will literally shut down the resources that could have gotten you there.
So it's like a feedback loop. Can you walk us through how that works?
It's what I call the belief cycle. It starts with a belief you have about your potential. Let's say you believe you're a great leader. That belief will cause you to tap into more of your potential and take massive, confident action. Those actions are going to produce great results. And those results then reinforce your original belief that you're a great leader, making it even stronger. It becomes an upward spiral. And I assume it works just as powerfully in the other direction. Absolutely. If you have a limiting belief that you're not good with people, for instance, you'll take tentative, awkward actions. That will lead to poor results in your interactions, which then reinforces your belief that you're not good with people. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, a prison of your own making. The good news is, you hold the key.
So if we can choose our beliefs, what beliefs should we be choosing? In the book, you outline what you call the 7 lies of success. Why do you call them lies? I call them lies playfully because we can't prove they're universally true. Are they true? Who knows? But they are incredibly useful. They are beliefs that the most successful people in the world operate from, whether they consciously know it or not. Adopting them is like installing a new operating system for success. That second one really stands out. There is no failure, only results. How does adopting that one belief change the game? It changes everything. If you truly believe there's no such thing as failure, what are you afraid of anymore? Every outcome is just information. It's feedback. It tells you what to do next. It's the belief that Thomas Edison used to invent the light bulb. He didn't fail 10,000 times, he just found 10,000 ways that didn't work. That belief eliminates the fear of trying.
This is fascinating. We can change our beliefs, which changes our state, which changes our actions and our results. But let's get into the mechanics. How do we actually do that? How do we take a limiting belief or a negative feeling and physically change it in our brain?
This is where we get into the how-to manual. The field of neurolinguistic programming, or NLP, gives us the tools. It's about understanding the structure of subjective experience. How do you know you have a problem? It's because you represent it to yourself in a certain way inside your own mind. We have to learn how to change those representations.
And the building blocks of those representations are what you call submodalities, right? Can you break that down for us?
Yes. Think of any memory or thought. It's made up of pictures, sounds, and feelings. But each of those has finer qualities. A picture in your mind has a size, a brightness. It can be in color or black and white. It can be close up or far away. A voice in your head has a volume, a tone, a tempo. Those fine-tuning qualities are the submodalities. They are the control knobs of your brain. If you change the submodalities, you change the meaning and the emotional impact of the thought itself.
Let's make this real. Sonny, think of a memory that bothers you, something that creates a negative feeling. Got one?
Okay, yeah, I've got one.
Now, in your mind's eye, see the picture of that memory. Take that picture and shrink it down to the size of a postage stamp. Drain all the color out of it so it's black and white. Now, push it far away, way off into the distance, until you can barely see it. What happens to the feeling attached to that memory?
Wow, it's almost gone. The emotional charge is just neutralized. That's incredible.
See? You just ran your own brain. You didn't change the memory, but you changed how you represent it, and that changed how you feel. That's personal power.
That's a manual intervention. Is there a way to make these changes more automatic? To train our brain to move toward a new behavior without having to think about it every time? Yes, that's what the swish pattern is for. It's a way to create a powerful, automatic neurological response. Here's how it works. First, you get a clear, big, bright picture of the behavior you want to change. Then, in the corner of that picture, you make a small, dark picture of how you would be if you made the change, your ideal self.
Okay, I'm with you so far.
Now, the magic is in the speed. In less than a second, you take that small, compelling picture of your ideal self and have it grow in size and brightness and literally explode through the old picture. And as you do it, you say whoosh out loud with energy. You open your eyes, clear your head, and then do it again 5 or 6 times, faster and faster each time. What you're doing is conditioning your brain. You're creating a new pathway that says, when you see this old trigger, go here instead. It becomes an automatic response.
So we've covered the mind, the operating system. But the best software in the world is useless if the computer it's running on is low on battery. This brings us to physiology and energy. How critical is our physical health to achieving this unlimited power? Tony Robbins. It's not just critical, it's fundamental. They are not separate things. Your mind and your body are one system. If you have low physical energy, you will have low mental and emotional energy. To operate at your peak, to have the drive to use these tools, you need a body that is vibrant, healthy, and full of energy. A masterful mindset requires masterful physiology. In the book, you lay out some very specific principles for creating that physical vibrancy. One of the biggest ones seems to be about diet, specifically about water content. It's a simple premise. Your body is over 70% water. It's a water-based machine, so to keep it clean and running efficiently, you should eat a diet that reflects that. I advocate for a diet that is 70% water-rich foods. That means fresh fruits and vegetables. They provide maximum nutrition and energy while requiring minimum digestive energy, and they help cleanse your system. And beyond the 70% rule, what are some of the other high-leverage keys to health you talk about? There are a few that make a huge difference. First is the power of breath. Most people are shallow breathers. Oxygen is the primary fuel for your cells. I teach a simple technique. Breathe in for a count of 1, hold for a count of 4, and exhale for a count of 2. This alkalizes your system and floods it with oxygen. Another key is proper food combination. A big one is not eating concentrated proteins, like meat, with concentrated starches, like bread or potatoes, in the same meal. They require different digestive environments, and mixing them can cause fermentation and drain your energy. What's the rule about fruit? Always eat fruit on an empty stomach. Fruit digests very rapidly. If you eat it after a heavy meal, it gets trapped and ferments, which, again, drains your energy. Eat it alone, and it's one of the best energy sources you can find.
Okay, so we've got the mental tools to run our brains and the physical principles to fuel our bodies. The final piece seems to be about applying all this. How do we take these powerful resources and aim them at creating the life we actually want? This is where we put it all together. It's about consciously designing your future instead of just letting it happen to you. It's about taking everything we've discussed, the success formula, state management, belief change, physiology, and focusing it like a laser on specific, compelling outcomes.
And it seems like we've come full circle, right back to the very first step of the ultimate success formula.
We have, because it's the most important step of all. You cannot hit a target you can't see. Your brain is a goal-seeking mechanism, but you have to give it a target. And that target must be crystal clear. Vague goals produce vague results. The power of your brain to achieve is directly proportional to the clarity of the instructions you give it.
So, what makes for a well-formed, clear outcome? In the book, you provide 5 specific rules. Can you walk us through them?
Absolutely. First, state it in positive terms. Focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Say, I want to be fit and energetic, not I want to stop being lazy. Second, be incredibly specific. Use your senses. What will you see, hear, and feel when you've achieved it? Third, have an evidence procedure. How will you know you've succeeded? What's the specific evidence? Fourth, make sure the outcome is initiated and maintained by you. It has to be within your control. And finally, fifth, do an ecology check. Is this goal good for you and for the important people in your life? Will it create more good than harm in the long run?
Once you have that perfectly defined outcome, what's the next step in making it a reality? It often requires resources or help from other people.
That's right. Knowing what you want is the first half. The second half is getting it, and you get it by learning to ask. You have to ask yourself better questions, and you have to learn to ask other people effectively. The quality of your life is the quality of your communication, and a huge part of communication is asking intelligently and precisely for what you want.
And to help with that, you introduce a linguistic tool called the precision model. How does that help us ask better questions?
The precision model is a set of questions designed to clarify communication by cutting through vague language, what some people call fluff. It challenges generalizations, deletions, and distortions in language. For example, if someone says, "Nobody listens to me," that's a generalization. A precision model question would be, "Nobody? Not one single person? Ever?" Or, "How do you know they're not listening?" It forces you to get to the specific data behind the statement. It's a tool to get to the truth, both with others and with yourself.
So if you had to boil all of this down, the formulas, the states, the beliefs, the techniques, what is the one single factor that determines the quality of our lives?
Tony Robbins. It is one thing: communication. That's it. It's about mastering the communication you have with yourself, through the questions you ask, the beliefs you hold, the way you use your body. And it's about mastering the communication you have with others. If you can master those 2 forms of communication, you have the power to create any result you desire. You can shape your own experience of life.
Tony, thank you for such an expansive conversation. This discussion gives our listeners a complete understanding of the ideas in Unlimited Power. It's a true operating manual. And you've left us with the ultimate question: now that we have the tools, what masterpiece will we create?
Thank you, Sonny. I hope this conversation helps people recognize the power they already have to shape their lives.
This has been Sonny's Mindset Lab. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.